Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. For the lady, as Bretonnia will be facing off against the Dark Elves, we have Elder Basilisk leading the Bretonnians, and we have Rajav is going to be leading the Dark Elves. So for the Bretonnian forces, we do have a quite good cavalry corps. We do have the Champions of Quenelles, the ROR Questing Knights, paired up with another of the Questing Knights models. And in the trees, we do have a third Questing Knight with the Knights of the Lionhearted, the Knights of the Realm ROR. So they do have fear on top of some magic damage as well. We do have, of course, King Lewin, Leoncoeur in the skies. He is going to be bringing a lot of his normal kit. So he does have Foe Seeker, Stand Your Ground, the Lion Shield, and Sword of Corone. Very, very good AoE debuff centered around King Lewin himself. So that'll help in those engagements. We do have some range units in the forms of the Field Trebuchet. So that'll do some good work against the approaching Dark Elf forces who don't really have any super long range. But the front line is going to be 5 peasant mobs, very good chaff unit. And then they will be backed up by a couple of men-at-arms and the Holy Wardens of La Maison-Tel Battle Pilgrims ROR with fire damage and magical attacks as well. And then for the peasant bowmen, we do have 3 of those, and one of which is the pox arrow. You kind of always are going to expect to see at least one pox arrow. Not bringing them is almost a crime. The poison damage, especially with the rework recently, is just so good for Bretonnia. And then we also have a Damsel of Life, bringing Earthblood and Regrowth. Very good for all of those cavalry units. And then for the Dark Elves, we do have a couple of Scourge Runner Chariots up in the forefront. They do very good work against enemy cav units, especially considering none of the cav that Bretonnia has brought is going to be able to catch them, so they should be able to kite their way all the way around the map, doing some very good damage to them, as long as they are a little bit wary of King Lewin. We also have a High Beastmaster with his Tormentor Sword. He is not going to be bringing his Whiplash ability to give other units that bonus versus large, but he does have his own, which is the Beast Slaver. So that gives him some base weapon damage increase, bonus versus large, and armor piercing weapon damage. So that will help out quite a bit with the gap in the melee prowess between him and King Lewin. As long as he has a little extra support, he should be able to do some decent work there, especially with the Sword of, not the Sword of, the Tormentor Sword. We do have a Sorcerer of Death for the Magic Department, bringing Spirit Leech and Soul Blight. So that Soul Blight isn't going to help with any cav engagements, though the Dark Elves are very much not equipped to deal with the cav of Bretonnia in this particular matchup. They only have a couple Dark Riders and 1 Cold One Knights. So that's just not going to be enough against 4 very elite cav units, especially 3 Questing Knights and the ROR Knights of the Realm. Very strong. But otherwise, for the rest of the infantry, we do have some Dread Spears for that front line. They will do well at kind of holding things back while the Scourge Runners kind of do a lot of good work. We do have some Dark Shards as well, and a couple of Shades. So they do have stock. They do have some very good armor piercing values. So their key targets right here is either going to be the Holy Wardens, or it's going to be the Questing Knights or the other cavalry units. Otherwise, there's not really a whole lot of good targets for them to be firing at. We do have a Master as well, just going to be on his horse, providing a little bit extra stopping power for those single entities for the Dark Elves. But those are our armies for today, and let's get this show on the road. So these Scourge Runners are getting up a little forward, taking some shots from the Peasant Bowmen, though they will not be taking a whole lot of damage, though they will be getting poisoned from those pox arrows. And the Scourge Runners are just going to continue firing. They are apparently on fire at will, and they are just firing into peasant mobs, and that is a severe waste of their ammunition right now. They need to be targeting the right units, firing at either King Lewin or any of the cavalry. Any other shots is just a massive waste of potential for what they are able to do. Like, it's just using almost a quarter of its ammunition already on just peasant mobs, and that is such an unfortunate use right there. We do have the Shades opening up into King Lewin. Most of the shots apparently are kind of missing, doing a little bit of damage, but now these Scourge Runners are taking some shots off into him, so doing some decent work there. Otherwise, the Scourge Runners and the High Beastmaster are kind of taking some shots from the Peasant Bowmen. I'm taking a decent amount of damage, actually. But on the far flank, we do have the Cavalry of Bretonnia are really pressuring these two Dark Riders. Do have some Dread Spears trying to act as support, and unless these Questing Knights are just going to sit by, though they do seem to be getting a little bit of a charge off into the Dread Spears, they won't do the worst against them, but taking all the shots from these Shades is what's going to be doing all of that damage. A nice charge, though, by the Knights of the Realm into both of these Dark Riders who kind of caught out, but those Questing Knights are in kind of a bad spot right now, as they are taking a lot of fire from these Shades, though these other units have been able to rout off at least one of the Dark Riders and are chasing the others, though here comes the Cold One Knights to act as a little bit of support. Right now, actually, the Scourge Runners are just continuing to take considerable damage from just the shots from all of these Peasant Bowmen. That's really the only damage that they've been taken. But now King Lewin is going to be dropping down into these Shades with the assistance of his Questing Knights, though this is pretty much a pretty big overreach, I think, for Bretonnia, as there's a lot of forces surrounding these troops now, because these Questing Knights are getting attacked by the High Beastmaster, by the Master. He does pack the Sword of Corone and Stand Your Ground and Vowseeker, but the High Beastmaster also has his Beast Slaver and Stand Your Ground himself, and there's just support from Spears, all of the Dark Shards, and the Shades as well. This is a very dangerous matchup for the Questing Knights and King Lewin, who are both taking a ton of damage right now, and those Questing Knights are probably going to be being routed right off the field, and also these Knights of the Lionheart are getting charged by these Cold One Knights, so the Dark Elves able to kind of pull things back, taking out 2 of the 4 Bretonnian cavalry units. There are still 2 Questing Knights, one of which is the ROR unit, and that is going to be pretty hard for them to deal with. It looks like we do have a regrowth going down on top of King Lewin to help top him off. He does have regrowth, but this engagement up in the sky, the High Beastmaster does not want to stick around for this too long. I know he has an advantage in terms of HP, but King Lewin in the air without any support from his Shades is going to put that High Beastmaster down. The bounce bar, though, is still very even. The backline being protected by the Dark Riders and the Cold One's Knights, as these Knights of the Lionheart have returned, though these Cold One Knights are coming in. Murderous Prowess is going to be popped as well, and in come the Men-at-Arms trying to get into the backline. They're chasing these Scourge Runners, which is an interesting choice. They really need to just turn around and get onto these Dark Shards and Shades, shut down those armor-piercing missile sources, and then to keep their Questing Knights alive and well, who have gotten a very nice sandwich, though, on these Hellebronii Dread Spears. Very nice catch up there, but the Beastmaster is in a very tough spot right now, taking a ton of damage from King Lewin, who does have his own regen, and yeah, the High Beastmaster is going to be dropping down, trying to get out of the sky, down into these Men-at-Arms, and hopefully into some of the protection of the Cold One Knights, as that King Lewin does drop down and trying to finish the job. Though once again, that may be a little bit of an overreach, because there is a lot of forces for the Dark Elves, but a lot of them are tied up. These Shades, for example, are tied up by the Champions of Quenelle, and these Shades, though, are free to fire, though that had the High Beastmaster very, very low. We have some Peasant Mobs chasing off some of the Spears. The Questing Knights are going to be going off the field, I think, for good now. But otherwise, in the back line, these Field Trebuchets still firing away. They have used up quite a bit of their ammo, but these Dark Riders are right here, and there's not a whole lot that can really counter them. We do have a couple Peasant Bowmen, but it looks like these Dark Riders are going to be chasing off those Pox Arrows, and that is a good pick, though, getting the Pox Arrows off the field, but I think the Field Trebuchets would be the keen target at this point. Sorcerer Death's a little bit occupied by these Questing Knights, and taking quite a bit of damage, and will be probably routing fairly soon. And am I missing something? But yeah, it looks like King Lewin has actually gone down, and I missed that earlier on. As I was saying, he did get a little caught out. These Cold One Knights were right there, so that Beastmaster dropping down really did kind of, I guess, baited that King Lewin to drop down as well. But the Sorcerer of Death has been shattered, and that is it for the magic department for the Dark Elves. And that is going to be a very big loss, considering there's still quite a few troops left for Bretonnia. They still have some cavalry units, and all of the Scourge Runners have used up all of their ammo. And they're decent chariot units, but against especially Questing Knights, they're just not going to be able to do a whole lot with. They don't have their missile fire. The Master is also, though, at full health and doing some good work against the men-at-arms, and with the assistance of the High Beastmaster swooping in, might be able to rout off those men-at-arms on the charge. I believe that High Beastmaster does have terror, so a terror rout is going to be ensuing on those men-at-arms, and that will be another unit kind of off the field as the Shades are kind of backing away a little bit from the Holy Wardens. If these Dread Spears and the High Beastmaster are able to kind of keep them engaged, those Shades can turn and fire and do a lot of damage. But both of the Questing Knights able to push off the Scourge Runner chariots. As I said before, they're decent chariot units, but not against Questing Knights. Questing Knights are just going to be able to mop the floor with them. And the Dark Riders have gotten on top of the Field Trebuchets, though the Field Trebuchets have used up quite a bit of their ammo. And these Dark Riders should be pretty fine to deal with whatever is left. We do have the Pox Arrows back here, but otherwise they should be able to mop things up. Though the core unit is pretty much just these units here. We do have the Shades who are trying to escape, but the Men-at-Arms will catch them out a little bit as their banner's a little bit a ways, so the Dark Elf player may not have realized that the core unit of that Men-at-Arms was right on top of them, and they're going to be wavering right now, and especially with the Holy Wardens coming in, that will be the end of them, because they're not going to be able to really get out of this, especially with the charge from these Questing Knights, and that should be the end of the Shades, and balance of power shifting more and more into Bretonnia's favor, even with these Dark Riders kind of cycling through, getting rid of these Peasant Bowmen, but they were unable to rout off these Field Trebuchets, who still have a considerable amount of ammo left, and there is a nice blob of spears over here that it will be firing into. Though the only real threat, I guess, for Bretonnia is going to be the High Beastmaster and the Master. I don't know if these two Questing Knights are going to be able to deal with them. If they really get some nice cycling in, especially if they can take out this High Beastmaster first, they have some very good chances to really pull ahead and balance of power. Though I think with the cycle charging from the Scourge Runners and the High Beastmaster with his Beast Slaver might be enough to really deal some good damage to those Questing Knights. But the Holy Wardens of La Maison are just going to absolutely chew through these Dread Spears. That's just not even going to be a contest there. As the Questing Knights do rout off now, and taking a little look back, just kind of seeing what we have left for the Bretonnian department. There is, with those Questing Knights routing off, I think those Scourge Runners, they just need to make sure that those go off. Once those Questing Knights are off the field, there's really nothing that can really drag down the Master and the High Beastmaster. The Master should be able to do some good work against the Holy Wardens, and they still have their Dark Riders, who have finally finished off the Field Trebuchets, though they may be back. But yeah, those Dark Riders are needed more in this main engagement, as the Questing Knights do return, so not being able to chase them off may prove to be that nail in the coffin for the Dark Elves, but we shall see, because these units of Questing Knights should be able to deal with these Dark Riders. There's only, it's 12 models versus 21, but the Questing Knights are just so much better. And with that, even the Scourge Runners, though, are routed off. If the Scourge Runners had been around, those Dark Riders could have turned and fought these Champions of Quenelles, and that may have been all she wrote. But yeah, that High Beast Special now going to be dropping into the rear of these Champions of Quenelle, and the Scourge Runners is going to be away from that engagement, and that High Beastmaster is so low. He does have his Beast Slaver on, and it may be just enough to rout off those Questing Knights, but he is so on danger low right now, and he is trying to pull out. And with the routing of those Dark Riders, the Bretonnians are looking a little stronger, because of those Men-at-Arms with the Holy Wardens of La Maison are fairly good work, because it's just the High Beastmaster and the Master left. And if that High Beastmaster does go down, that is going to be a big blow for the Dark Elves, even though they do have the balance of power right now. That High Beastmaster is routing, but so is the Champions Quenelles. So the High Beastmaster does rout, and actually goes down right now, and balance of power goes right back to even, as it is just the Master left. And will the Champions of Quenelles rout as well? They are still wavering right now. They only have 6 models left, and the Holy Wardens with 2 units of Men-at-Arms are actually getting on top of them. Wise choice having the Champions of Quenelles kind of pull out, but they still rout. So those Champions of Quenelles are off the field, and it is just down to the Master, who is wavering, and he is not going to be able to deal with all of these infantry, and he is going to be routing, and the Bretonnians will take this match, a very, very close one. So let's take a look at the after battle report very well played, lots of balance of power swings, and a very, very good match. Dark Riders, this unit right here, getting 180 kills. That was the one kind of cleaning up the back line. I think had they done it a little bit quicker, they could have maybe shut down those field trebuchets a little earlier, as those field trebuchets did get 98 kills themselves, doing a lot of good work. But the questing knights doing very good, especially the champion Squinels, able to push off those last mobility units for the Dark Elves in that late game and rout off the High Beastmaster as well. So very good work, but I think the Dark Elves, the misplays on their Scourge Runner chariots was pretty considerable. I think the biggest thing was they had them on fire at will, and they were just firing into peasant bowmen, or not peasant bowmen, this is a peasant mob, and they wasted at least a quarter of their ammunition per chariot, and that was devastating, especially in the late game when they didn't have any ammo left and they weren't able to be firing in on those questing knights, because that was their target they needed to be shooting at. It was the questing knights or King Lewin. Those were the only two things that they had to worry about. They could also be maybe firing in on the battle pilgrims, but really it was they needed to shoot at the questing knights to deal with them, because they really didn't have the tools that could push them off. The Cold One Knights did do fairly well. They were able to push off at least a pair of them with some nice charges there. Otherwise, I think the Shades did decent work as well to some of the questing knights, but a very, very good match. The Holy Wardens coming in clutch in the end, able to rout things off with the duo of men-at-arms, making sure that that master did finally rout in a very, very close match. And I hope you all enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good one.